Okay, hello and welcome to this week's update. Today is Saturday, the 16th of September, 2023. And I promised myself I wouldn't say, and it's been a big week because they're all big right now and they're all building. They're just building every week. It's just building. There were so many different themes, I guess, for this week. The Galactics that were sort of in the air last week, only more so this week. Everything I did energetically, all the work, the stuff that was coming at me, everything kept going back to Egypt. And I think I know why. There was something really deeply, deeply felt about the original pairs. Debbie, you might have something to say about this. I mean, I guess it's what people call twin flames and stuff like that. A lot of interference was seen and dealt with. It does appear like most people are going through a leveling up process. Again, sort of carrying on from last week, that idea that it's getting more and more and more individual. One thing I didn't really see was a theme in what people are experiencing physically so much. Like a couple of people here and there may be doing the same thing, but it's like it really is starting to get quite personal, even in how we're physically handling the energies. And there was also several pointers to what we've sort of collectively called the sky event, on and off for a while, or pointing to the dome, the firmament, that sort of stuff. And there was even a little wave of nostalgia that ran through the week. So I'm going to try and go through all this in chronological because I think that's easier. So Sunday.
What date was that?
Sunday was... What date was it?
The 10.
You're unmuted. I don't know if you know that, but you are.
Oh,
No, I guess it was the 10th. A couple of things led to this, but what I felt like I was reliving in a very, very physical way was what the word that kept coming to me repeatedly was the rendering, and it felt and looked like a lightning bolt going through my chest, and it was like watching and feeling skin tear, and it was super emotional. This was like so old and so deep. And I knew it was like my feeling is, and I think Athena believes, and a couple of other people have talked about that we do come in here into these games in pairs. And it's not this whole twin flame and divine stuff. I can't do that language, but to me, it's just like original pairs. And it felt like they were torn apart. And then I started to see and feel this again, like skin when it's skin knits. They were coming back together. And there was this knowing that we had tried to do that once before and it didn't work. We kind of got tricked somehow. But it's happening now. And it made the timing of this was like, oh, okay, that's why people are starting to talk about relationship breakdowns again. You know, it's because everyone's going to start finding their true counterpart. If they're not already with them, and if they are, it just feels like those relationships are just going to like really go up a notch. Uh, what else? Monday, there was some energetic work in regards to uncovering interference, um, manipulation, and there's been quite a bit of that this week because it's like every time you sort of sort something out, the next layer gets revealed. So there's been a few goes at that. And so far, everything just keeps going back to Egypt. And there was a conversation, no, very brief exchange actually between myself and Hamish at one point in this last week, I think, asking about the Atlantis timeline. And I had a feeling back then that the Atlantis realm or the Atlantis timeline, however we really see it, had closed. Like, but that's part of what we've just experienced was the closing of that, which means we're now in Egypt. And so I think all the fuckery that took place in that one, that timeline, that realm, all the distortion, everything that went on there, good and bad, but at least for the minute, it seems to be the negative stuff is coming up to be cleaned and seen and all of that. But I know a couple of people were really keen on looking at Atlantis a few weeks ago, and then they've moved on. I never have. But just in this last couple of days, I've tapped in a little bit to try and see where is that in relationship to this whole Egypt thing. And I really do feel like that's done. Like that book is closed. There's just no energy in it anymore for me. Jenny, your experience too, Egypt timeline coming back around again. Okay. Tuesday, the Galactic, I mean, the Galactic thing, we've got the Mexican, what was that? The Mexican Congress. Mexico basically just did what the US did with their Congress thing about UFOs or UAPs. And we saw those little, what looked like clay sculptures in a box claiming to be actual aliens. Were they actually claiming that they were aliens, or were they claiming they were sculptures done by ancient peoples of aliens? Because I haven't actually been able to clarify that. Does anyone know? No. Okay. So we've had that going on. We've had Cliff High constantly putting out into the collective the whole alien thing.
What was your question about the aliens again? I just missed it. Sorry, Lisa.
Those little guys in the boxes that were presented to the Mexican government.
Yep.
Were they claiming that they were actually bodies of aliens, or were they claiming
they are claiming that they are actual bodies of aliens that were found buried in full ceremony somewhere in Mexico with a shitload of artifacts that went along with it, although the Mexican government's not talking about the artifacts because a lot of them have been sold on the dark web, which Cliff alludes to. And I remember a while ago when he was hinting that he had found on the dark web that government ministers, government people were selling stuff on the dark web to try and scam a bit of extra money, and they thought it should be out there. But they are claiming that they were buried just like you would find Egyptian mummies buried in tombs. They were buried in full regalia, not just with alien artifacts, but also cast metal, gold artifacts that were obviously made by humans about the aliens also in the burial place, and that they can recognize. Now, this is just their story. The whole thing might be nonsense, of course, but the story that Mr. Head surgeon of the Navy in Mexico is saying is that 70% of the genetic material in those bodies they can identify, which means 30% they can't.
they can identify, meaning
they know the sequences make sense, as in human or Earth but there's 30% in there they've never ever seen ever before.
I
That's
looked at
what
them
they're
and just
saying.
thought of Mars Attacks.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so cliche. Everyone on the super soldier pages and the remote viewing, and everyone's taking the piss out of it because it looks like all the cliche. It's like mini ET. It's like the Men in Black, the little guy inside the head of the robot dude. And then I thought about that and I went, well, the funny thing about that is, of course, if you were writing like disclosure fiction for the last 30 years, you would
You're
base
getting
it
a
on
thumbs
something
up.
that you. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Not me.
If you were writing disclosure fiction and you were meant to be putting shit out there in the collective, you are going to base it on something that is going to come up. So, of course, they look like a paper mache trope because all of our tropes have been based on them.
Hi, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in the full 1.5 hour conversation, link is in the description. And if not, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.